Hi, this is Marilyn. I want to share something that has been very useful to me that I use kind of as a focusing ring. I think of these sayings that I've collected over the years as sort of a portable toolkit, almost like if you were, trying to put a screw into something and you had one of those portable toolkits that had toolbox, screwdrivers with all different sizes. So this is one of my tools, and it's a statement that's attributed to Anais Nin, the writer. And the statement is, we don't live life as it is, we live life as we are. And I'm paraphrasing. She says we see life, not as it is, but as we are. But I think we actually live it. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that our relationship with ourselves usually gives us a slightly dull viewpoint. And we need to sharpen our viewpoint so that what's actually happening becomes nearer to what we see happening. And it's a matter of urgency, because this is about survival. In other words, if you misread a cue when you're outside, you could fall, you could hurt yourself, you could leave your handbag in a store, other things like that. And so one of the reasons that I'm so intent on sharing this concept of self-trust and self-acceptance is that one of the ways to be safe with yourself is to understand that we distort reality because of things that happened in the past, and that this is a function of our biological nature, which tries to save us through pattern recognition. That's what that is called. So if we had a pattern of people lying to us our whole lives, it's going to be very difficult for us to be able to be clear when someone is telling the truth, including ourselves. So the way to remedy this, and this is just my own personal bias, having done a lot of therapy, which I did not find helpful. What I found helpful was this hard talk with myself and saying, okay, Marilyn, you've had a lot of stuff in your life that's very upsetting, and it has distorted how you see things. And I don't want that anymore. I want to be able to trust myself to see things as they are. And so again, I know that I talk about this practice that I use, but I find this is a great all-purpose toolkit like that roll-up set of screwdrivers of all different sizes, because this is one tool that works for all these things. So one thing you might ask yourself is, if you've done something like leave your handbag somewhere, why did you? This is not a psychological question. The answer to the question, which I'm going to tell you, is because you were distracted, because you were thinking about something else. And so for a moment, you were not situationally aware. That is perfectly normal, especially considering how much input we get. But what has to happen if you're going to be a more successful person is, now that that did happen, you have to say to yourself, okay, if I did that in one place and I left my handbag, luckily, no harm, no foul, I had my wallet or whatever. But I have done that and left my wallet and everything else. And it was because I was not paying attention. But rather than beating myself up, or my friend beating herself up, the way to fix this is to just say, okay, I'm a human being. I can only pay attention to so many things at a time. That's the self-acceptance, that's the self-trust. And now what I'm going to do is, every time I leave the house or whatever it is, I'm going to count on my fingers how many things I have to remember. They've done many studies when they were developing the telephone and the telegraph, and they discovered that people can basically remember 7 numbers. That's it. 7 things, that's it. And probably 5 is more realistic. So my recommendation is twofold. 1, accept the fact that we get distracted, and you're human, and that's how that goes. Also accept the fact that you can really get yourself in trouble if you leave your keys or your handbag somewhere. So it's really important to correct this. And then say this very important thing to yourself. How am I supposed to know what I was never taught? No one ever taught me to navigate this huge information bank that we have to deal with. So instead of blaming myself and pretending I don't do it, I am going to take steps. I'm going to take steps like, on my fingers, bag, keys, hat, gloves, umbrella, whatever it is that you need to do. And this is a setting that goes into meetings, into other things that are when you're writing a story. Don't forget the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why. It's the same thing. So the purpose of everything that I talk about is for you to gain a better relationship with yourself, where you can really trust yourself. So here's the recap. We're human. We can only pay attention to so many things. 2, because we are human, if we don't do that, bad things happen. Therefore, we must find some solutions so that when we are doing something in particular, we can be situationally aware. We do this by accepting that we can only really remember between 5 and 7 things, and using somatic tools like counting on your fingers to make sure, until this becomes a new habit, that you take care of this problem that you were having. If you find this interesting, come join me on my YouTube channel, Instagram channel, LinkedIn channel. I think I'm also on YouTube at this, TikTok at this point. Buy a book, take a webinar, but most importantly, consider starting this practice and making sure that you can keep yourself safe with yourself. Okay, see you on the next video.